Hi, I'm Shaka Hislop, and you're here at Extra Time TV.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey everyone, welcome to the hastily put together live stream. I hope everybody's hearing me okay. As always, this is not a very smooth process, so I know everybody's joining in right now, including myself. I actually had to reset all my equipment, but unfortunately I got it up in time, so I know there's a couple of viewers in here. And, I will fix certain things. I'll be a bit active. These streams are very active. So first of all, for those of you who are in here, you can let me know. Both teams, just to get straight to the point, they're singing their anthems right now. And I'm seeing here, I have the lineup right now. So for those of you who don't know, welcome to the Trinidad Tobago versus Bolivia friendly international match. This is straight from the TTFA. The starting lineup, Jabari Bryce, Darnell Hospitalis, Jovin Jones has returned to the lineup. Let's see, Jesse Williams, Ryan Telfer, Isaiah Garcia, Ade Paponet, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Alvin Jones, Ross Russell Jr., Andre Rampersad, and Chervones Hamilton. And on the subs bench, it's very tiny to see here, but Pierre, Lewis, David, Hilaire, Cordner, Jester, Sween, Garcia. So some different call-ups in here that we haven't seen before. So as I said, I don't know how to watch this game. I had to go through a whole process of pain and zigzagging to get this done. So everybody's in here. Welcome, Kingsley. I know you do not miss at all. And both teams, they're doing their anthem right now. And I'm trying to make sure I sync the start of this game properly, which is a little bit of a challenge, but I'm trying to multitask for everybody here. So I want to make sure my clock is in sync. Sometimes these things are very difficult. How am I seeing the game? It's through some South American television. It's very difficult, but I will, if anybody has a way to see it, feel free to let people know. I had to pay. Long story short, folks. So it is what it is. Like I said, this is a hastily put together stream. I'm trying my best to get as much data as possible so you all can get as much information. So everybody who's not seeing the game, you could join me, and I really appreciate everybody joining me as well. So the game is being played in Bolivia. I'm going to verify the stadium now. If it is where I think it is at altitude, this is going to be rough for Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not seeing the stadium here. But obviously, both Bolivia and Trinidad and Tobago are preparing for upcoming games. Bolivia have a chance to possibly sneak in and to some major tournaments for the first time in their history. So, like I said, folks, while we're talking here, like I said, folks, forgive me if I'm a little bit distracted. I just want to make sure I get the clock exactly in sync with this game. So I'm keeping an eye on it here. So the players are exchanging pleasantries right now, folks. Rampersad is the captain today from what it looks like. Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up the location of the stadium for you all. So like I said, for everybody who's joining in, let me know you're in here. I'm not getting information about the stadium at all. Nothing at all. But I will as the game goes along. So Jovin Jones has been recalled to the national team, for those of you who don't know. I see everybody's in here. Gray Walker, how you seen the game? When did you pay? Where did you pay, I'm assuming? Why is my screen showing like this? I'm trying to make sure I see your comments properly. There we go. I'm seeing you all a little bit better now. First of all, let me know if you all are hearing me. Jabari Bryce is a no good keeper. Well, I hope not. We need him today. And, like I said, folks, so they're about to kick off, and players are huddling. I did send a request to people on the TTFA to see if I could get the link for people, to see if they could watch the game. As soon as I get that information, I'll give it to you all, because I want my viewers to be happy. I'm not sure if this stream I have is going to work. So it's true, I forgot this site. Somebody help me with this. But there's also a channel called Scorch TV, I think. And I will send you all the link. so we could all have fun with the stream together. So I'll just, in the meantime, I'm going to update you all. So nothing in particular here that's out of the ordinary. Bolivia is a very strong team in South America. Even though everybody talks about Brazil and Uruguay and Argentina and everybody else, and Bolivia generally win their games at altitude in Bolivia. I'm not sure if it's the same stadium. It looks that way from what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing, obviously, Bolivia has some different players and so on. So, like I said, I want to make sure and get the clock in sync. So if I'm staying all quiet for a couple seconds, you'll know why. Usually I load up formations and so on. But like I said, welcome to the stream, folks. Everybody who's just joining me in here, I will give you some information as soon as I can. So you can see if you can get the match. And the ref has his whistle in his mouth. Let's see. He's getting ready. I'm not seeing what formation Trinidad Tobago is playing yet. And let's see how it goes. First of all, let me know if y'all hearing me. Okay, I'm using a new mic. And we're off. The game has started. So, we are back here. So I'm back in, folks. I know a lot of viewers in here. Andre, minimum beaten 3-0. This is going to be a tough game, folks. This is a tough game because for those of you who follow South American football like myself, this has never been an easy fixture for any team that goes to Bolivia. The altitude is a problem, but Bolivia has been making strides over the last couple of years in South America. It's a shame that they're in the South American region because I think in other regions they would do well. Bolivia and CONMEBOL, and I'm seeing people saying that in the comment section, they always usually 90% of the time, if anybody goes to Bolivia, they lose. If you get a victory or a draw in Brazil and in Bolivia, it's considered a win in La Paz. The altitude, it's impossible to breed, just like Ecuador. Yes, they're 76 in the ranking, and honestly, if they were in a different confederation, they probably would have made it to maybe a couple more, maybe at least 1 or 2 World Cups, I think. So, Bolivia immediately on the attack. Trinidad in defense, and a little bit of disarray. Shot by Bolivia, and a save. So, Son, I see you probably found a stream as well. Everybody, if you could help each other out to find the streams, let me know. So, within the first minute, Bolivia has created a chance. And, this is a team. We'll have to see how Trinidad physically copes with this game, folks. It's already tough for us. And, the altitude is going to be an issue. So, we were nearly 1-0 down. So, the team is going to have to settle. Folks, while we're talking about this, when we get a chance, we could talk about Dwight York, Bolivia, whipping the ball in. And what I'll tell you, folks, is that when you're playing in Bolivia, the ball floats a little bit more, from what I've been told by some of the players and just interviews and so on. So, Trinidad is probably going to have to try to take advantage of that. Really gauge our fitness. I don't know what physical preparations were done, but it's very difficult. The best of the best go and suffer there. Brazil, Colombia, Argentina was actually successful in recent years, but usually it's always tough. They usually get narrow wins or a draw. So this is a nice warm-up for them. Yeah, I'm seeing in the comments here from Roblox Gamer Boy. It's a warm-up. Right, there we go. I wasn't seeing the comments properly. Now I'm seeing them. Bolivia in the World Cup playoffs to this. Yeah, correct. Bolivia is in there. So they want to do that, and I think just a rare positive note, Bolivia, with a rare misplaced pass so far in the game. Now, I think on a level playing field, I think this game would have been I would have been very confident we could have probably gotten a pretty good result against this team. Somebody is down. I can't see who it is. It's very difficult to see. One of our players are down, and we're going to have really good game management here, folks. All Derek King's experience for being in around those coaches and clubs is going to have to come in handy. I'm sure he knows. I can't see. Who was that? Who got knocked over? I can't see it. I have the squad names, but not the numbers. So there's a quick shot at Derek King for those of you who are seeing the stream. I did pay for it, but I will find out a link. But I think you can go on scorchtv.com, folks. See, I'm helping you. Let's watch it together. So I'm seeing all the comments coming in. Trinidad Tobago doing outside the first shot. Bolivia is comfortably keeping the ball in possession. South American teams do this. I think they're very confident because they know eventually fitness will play an issue. Now, Bolivia in recent years were known as only getting results at home. But now they're starting to get decent results away, and that's why they're in the position they're in now. You know, they're managing to get those points, valuable points in the road that could give them a shot. Kind of like us. You know, they had more World Cup qualifying places this time around. So in the playoff spots, I can't remember who they have to play. I think it's an AFCON team, Gabon. Well, I can't remember who it is. No, I don't think so. I can't remember who it is. So, you know, it's going to be a very interesting path for Bolivia. In a lot of ways, their pathway mirrors ours where they want to get in there. But Bolivia is keeping possession. It looks as if they're really stretching the play. I did not get their formations, and when I get a chance, I'll pull it up from SofaScore. Suriname. Okay, it was Suriname. Don't they have to play Suriname first and then somebody afterwards? Well, obviously, if they beat Suriname, they have to play... I don't know, but I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. So good. Son is keeping me on my toes. Trinidad running at the Bolivian defense, causing a little bit of problems, but Bolivia trying to slow things down to their pace. Iraq, that's right. That's right, but it's good. I know you all know your stuff, you know. So it's 5 minutes in. Bolivia did get one shot. There's an attempt to go down the wing here. We're going to have to rely on Jovan Jones and those senior players for all their experience. Derek King, you know, we all know what took place. You know, he stepped in as the interim coach. He always does in recent years. It must be not too much of a challenge if, you know, because he's around the coaches a lot, and usually that's why they usually put the assistant coaches and so on in there. You know, so Derek King has been around. So I think it was offside. Yes, it was offside. So everybody in here, I think you could go to scorchtv.com. Try that out and see if you get it. And let me know how it goes. And first of all, you know, everybody who's in the live stream, let me know. And like I always ask folks, be sure to like and subscribe. And I want to let you all know this why there's a bit of a pause here. We've crossed the 3,000 subscriber mark. That's quite an achievement. The channel is continuing to grow. All right, everybody. So I think, let me know if that link I told you works. See, I'm trying to help you all. You get so much at Extra Time TV. So anyway, Bolivia is in possession. So far, it's okay. I think after that first shot, we're managing a little bit better. Bolivia is allowing us to come to the middle of the field and then they press. So we're not getting much leeway in most of it. Roblox, Iran pull out of FIFA World Cup, and which country will play? That's a very good question. Folks, if you all don't know, I was actually supposed to be in Qatar now for the Argentina-Spain game that's coming up. And, you know, a little vacation as well, whatever. And of course, with the situation across there, you know, it's having global, you know, ramifications. So Trinidad whipping a ball there, but didn't amount to much. Bolivia doing enough to shield the ball and force a goal kick. Yes, I was supposed to be there. So, you know, there's a lot of implications with teams and, you know, the environment on the whole. You know, Spain and Argentina now have an international window they could probably waste because they committed to the Finalissima. And, you know, we'll see how that unfolds. But in this scenario, you know, Iran, Iraq, it's a terrible situation, and we hope it resolves. So, Kingsley, I think you, Emirates, yeah, could be. So, once again, a ball over the top. I like, so I'm definitely a few seconds behind Prince Hood. Welcome to the stream, Prince Hood. Yeah, I had tickets. I was supposed to go to the Finalissima. Everything was set, and, well, that's that then. So, I'd have been doing this stream in Qatar right now. I was actually working out how I was going to do it, and then the games against Venezuela and so on. So, yes, and so far, if you're just joining us, you know, it's 0-0. We're approaching the 8th minute, according to my timer here. I'm a few seconds behind some of the other people, I think. But, you know, Bolivia has created 2 chances, 2 very good saves. And there's another chance here. Bolivia is starting to, you know, attack a little bit more. Another long-range shot. So you can see, folks, they will take a lot of long-range shots because when you're playing at that altitude, from what I've been told, and just watching interviews, it seems like it floats a little bit. So Bolivia now are starting to test the keeper, take long-range shots, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm seeing Lewis C. Powell just got back from TT this week. Was my first time visiting. Enjoyed my time there. Did a week on each island. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself, and I'm glad that you're in your stream. And folks, everybody who's in here, if you're new or not, be sure to like, subscribe, share. You know, drop comments, share the stream to everybody else who, you know, would like to see it. Just do it. Make sure. So there's a corner for Bolivia, folks. It is approaching the 9th minute. Not convincingly clear, but Trinidad trying to start a counter-attack here. Bolivia snuffing it out. So Trinidad trying to kind of find their way. They're not getting much leeway in terms of the midfield. And like I said, folks, in addition to the tactics, the oxygen levels are a factor in this game. So, you know, I don't know what the fitness team's preparation. I know some teams even carry oxygen. Some teams, you know, go to acclimatize. Some teams go just a few days before the game. That's a tactic people use. I've worked with teams at high altitude in Monterey. It's a challenge. Not as bad as Bolivia. So Trinidad with some possession now. Trying some little triangles, as we like to call it. Keeping a bit possession. The ball is in our half. But trying to maintain some possession. Unfortunately, it was given straight to Bolivia, who's attacking down their left side. Not very threatening. Bolivia starting to look a bit more confident now. Passing the ball around the top of the Trinidad Tobago box. So Lewis, it's not an official FIFA E match. I think it was just a arrangement between both parties, which they've done before. I think when Angosi was in charge, they did one, and we lost that one 5-0, but that was also not a official match. Athena, welcome back, of course. I'm glad you're joining us. Like I said, it was a hastily put together stream. You know, it feels like just yesterday I was doing a live stream, but I have been away for a while from doing the streams and the weekly episodes. And folks, you could let me know in the live stream when you get a chance at halftime if you all want me to start back the weekly episodes where we talk about content. I was doing it, but it honestly depends on you all. And for the new viewers in here, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. You know, we have head over to EXTVmedia.com. You could follow all the socials you see right here. And it really helps the channel. It takes a lot of work to put this together. And, you know, I even got here in a hurry. My hair is still wet from the shower, you know. So, you know, that's to tell you. So Bolivia, once again, you know, seems very confident in possession. Getting into the final third. You know, taking the ball, you know, with a lot of lateral passes. Trying to stretch Trinidad and Tobago's defense. But, you know, Derek King, it looks as if Trinidad and Tobago, from what I'm seeing here, ooh, another shot. So Bolivia not afraid to try long range shots. So while we're doing this, let me pull up the formations. So let me do that. See if SofaScore. So, you know, SofaScore helps us out with a lot of data, folks. If you're just joining us, it's 0-0. And they approaching the 12th minute. I'm going to see if I could get some stats on this game, which I don't think we do because it's not an official match, but I'm going to try my best. Let's see. Are we getting anything? No, it's very difficult to get some stats here, folks. But anyway, for those of you who are just joining us here, it's 0-0. We're in the 12th minute. And, you know, I think with all things considered, it's about trying to maintain possession and not concede goals, although Bolivia did create some chances. So far, I'm not getting much stats from this. So I'm just gonna go by visual means. So everybody in the stream, let me know that you're in here. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and all those things. Support the channel. You know, we have merch. You could head over. There's links under the videos as well. You know, I will do all those different things. There's a corner. So clearly my stream is a couple seconds behind you guys. It seems. But Bolivia has a corner. You guys are in the future. I will fix my nice background in the back soon, folks. So like I said, folks, if you're just joining us, it's 0-0. Bolivia now have a corner. As I was saying before, I usually put up the formations and so on, but I think because it's not official friendly, it's very difficult to get information. I'll probably try, you know, some of the local sites in a while. But thank you for joining the live stream, folks. Bolivia has a corner right now. Let's see how Trinidad can handle this. Not a well-taken corner, folks. And like I said, you know, I think with all things considered, if we get to like, half an hour at 0-0, Trinidad, considering the fitness factors, Trinidad and Tobago, we can, take some heart from that. And more than likely, I'm pretty sure Derek King, because, he's been around. It's not like he's an inexperienced coach. He's been around long enough to know the kind of team Bolivia is. He understands local players. And Hero Fire, Trinidad and Tobago for the win, bro. Hey, listen, that's what we always want. I think everybody who's in here. And I know not a lot of people are from Trinidad, though. I know there's a lot of Jamaicans, people from all over the Caribbean and Mexico in the last streams. We see it in the analytics from Europe. So that's very impressive. So Bolivia, very comfortable in possession. You could see, in terms of technique and so on, they're at home. They're trying to do some overloads down the left side and trying to stretch the Trinidad and Tobago defense. But kudos to Trinidad. They are keeping their shape. And eventually drawing a fall. So that's good. So Andre Sooklal using his experience there. And it seems like there's a good spirit about the game. Everybody's kind of, slapping wrists and so on. So I'm getting a nice replay here. Rampersad, shielding really well. I think that's very clever. Drawing the fall because, Villarreal, he put his body in between him and draw a fall. So rising up to 778, welcome. From what I'm watching it, from what I've been told, you could go to scorchtv.com. You could watch it there, I think. Trinidad winning way. What if Bolivia... Well, Kingley, they did defeat us 5-0. Realistically, and this is not me being negative, it's very difficult. Even the best of the best, the Brazils and the Argentinians, and so on, when they come to Bolivia, they draw or they lose. And if they win, it's very rare. It's only recently, like teams like Argentina got some wins, but, Brazil lost. And that's very strange. To get like a draw. A draw is like a victory in Bolivia for big teams. So if we get, a minimal scoreline or even a draw, and I know that sounds kind of cynical, that's a pretty good result. I normally won't say that for any other team. I know I don't really like to say that. But Kingley, we did lose to them 5-0 last time, folks. So, folks, if you're just joining us, we're 16 minutes in. Bolivia 0, Trinidad and Tobago 0. If Trinidad and Tobago draw against Bolivia, that will be fair from Kingley. That would be an amazing result and morale boosting because, like I said, it's not just the South American skill, but the conditions that they're playing in. I'm not sure if it's La Paz because I'm not getting information. Bolivia in our box, cutting the ball across. Trinidad and Tobago doing well to get it out, but you could see Bolivia starting to try to, push themselves into our half, and they're attacking very strategically. They're not pressing us relentlessly, but they're picking their moments. And Trinidad and Tobago, at least for now, are keeping their shape, which clearly is the message sent to the team by Derek King. Keep your shape and try to go on the counter. From what I'm seeing here, it appears as if when we're not in possession, we're playing at 5 at the back. Once again, Trinidad and Tobago fouling. I can't see the players' names. But Bolivia drawing a foul on Melgar, number 20. So eventually... And folks, I look at a lot of South American football. I'm seeing the replay here. Here was a legit call. Eventually, Bolivia knows this. The fitness is going to play a factor. It is going to play a factor. So they can be very patient, and eventually, when the oxygen levels go, your decision making goes down. You make mistakes. The team wears down. And I'm telling you, folks, players at halftime, literally in oxygen tanks. That's how difficult it is. Hero Fire, where can I watch a live stream? You could try scorchtv.com. That's why I'm watching it. No. I did have a paid for thing, but yeah. So welcome, Hero Fire. I like that name. Rising up. Let me know if it works, folks. You see, I'm letting you guys watch. I hope it works. Roblox Gamer Boy, your dark horse of FIFA 2026 World Cup. Which country will be dangerous heading into the World Cup? My dark horse, oh, wow. Ball cleared off the line. I'll get back to that just now. Bolivia getting a shot saved off the line. Let's see. Yeah, no, Brazil lost many times to Bolivia. So, folks, if you watch South American football, almost everybody loses to Bolivia when they play away to Bolivia, when they play Bolivia at home. But just to update you, Bolivia getting a chance with an amazing save so far. So far, he's probably made about 5 saves. So that was one that was a point-blank save from a free header. I didn't get to see the replay yet. So Son, yes, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. I went and fact-checked. Brazil lost to Bolivia in the Estadio Municipal de El Alto, playing in the Ramon Tahuchi Aguilera Stadium. Welcome, Junior Joshua. So I used the link www.scorchtv.com. So you can check that out. Folks in the stream, if you have any other links that could help, let people know. I'm hoping that, EXTV, you guys stay with me and we watch the entire thing because, it's fun doing it with you guys. So we're approaching the 20th minute mark, and Bolivia has created a lot of chances. I don't know. I see the players. Is this a water break? What's happening here? There's a pause. I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. Players on the ground. Somebody asked me who my dark horse is, but just to update you on the game here, somebody's on the floor and I can't see who it is. But I think, there's Oba running on the field. So more than likely, if you look at the Trinidadian players, they are panting. And I want to emphasize this. So this is the shot. In swing and cross. Wow, that was a really good save. In swing and cross, point blank save. By the way, folks, let me know how my new mic is sounding. I'm trying out a new mic. I hope it's sounding okay. And my voice is sounding okay. Yeah, that's a pretty insane save. He's earned his call up so far. We always had decent keepers, folks. I think Trinidad Tobago always had quality keepers, And this is not including Shaka Hislop and those guys, but we've always had. So Son is saying it's on TV in the UK and Flow in TNT. So folks, like I said, for those of you outside Trinidad Tobago, that's where you could watch it. Jovan Jones looks like he took a knock. Oba is checking on him. By the way, Oba, the guy you're seeing on the screen, is helping me. I just bought this other jersey, folks, because somebody took the last one. My shoulder. I told you all I had a shoulder injury, so it's actually good now. I couldn't do this a couple of weeks ago. See? Couldn't do that. So Jovan, possibly doing some stuff to stem the momentum of the game. As you can see there, the usual crew sitting on the sidelines there. And, Bolivia creating a lot of opportunities, but forcing some very good saves from Trinidad and Tobago. Point blank saves, especially that one that was a couple seconds ago. So maybe Jovan Jones strategically using that moment for the team to catch their breath. And I'm going to give you all, in case you all start wondering why players start looking fatigued, it's because of the altitude. I'm not going to underemphasize how important that altitude is. So everybody in here, like I said, if you're just joining us, let me know your thoughts, comments, what's going on, what do you think about the game, what do you think about Derek King's selection, what do you think about the player performance so far? Everybody inside here, let me know who you think the next coach of Trinidad and Tobago should be. Everybody's talking, who should replace Dwight York. And, let me know what you think. So it's another corner for Bolivia, folks. Another corner. And let's see how it goes. Whipped in. Near post. Cleared. Nothing really too dangerous. Trinidad and Tobago seem to be handling it pretty well so far. Roblox, my dark horse for this World Cup is Norway, Colombia, Japan, Senegal, Canada, and USA. All good choices. The game has changed, folks. It has changed a lot. If I had to take a team from Europe, I would say, of South America, I think Ecuador could cause some problems. There's another corner, folks. Another save. Punched out. Trinidad and Tobago trying to push Bolivia back, perhaps start a counterattack, but Bolivia did well to get back position. They seem to be going down that left side a lot. Another cross. Bolivia, oh my goodness. First goal for Bolivia. It was coming. And it is now 1-0 to Bolivia. I didn't see the goal scorer, who he is. But it's a goal in the 23rd minute for Bolivia. We have to say it was coming. Alvin Jones and the keeper having some miscommunication issues here. I think, let's be real with ourselves, folks. We did see it coming with the crosses and the chances. I think Trinidad in that case should have done a bit better with the headers. That's my opinion. So let's get a replay here. So they were going on that side. They've been doing this a lot. Let's see. Oh, Alvin Jones, a friend of mine, he could have done better there. His body was positioned and he actually knocked it in. I think any other direction he could have just poked it away and maybe they could have scrambled it. So it's a bit rough. It's a bit rough, but Alvin Jones. So So let me update the score really quickly on my apps. Let's see. So it's now 1-0 to Bolivia. There we go. So it is Haquin. So I think they're taking a little bit of a water break. Now, football is such a cruel game because, let's say Alvin cleared that out. All of a sudden, it would still be 0-0. And yes, it was Prince Hood. It was coming. I agree. And folks, if you're just joining us, it's now the 24th minute. Trinidad Tobago, it's now 1-0. There's a water break in place. We just conceded the first goal. Bolivia was creating chances. And eventually, in the end, it turns out a header that kind of deflected by Alvin Jones into our goal. It's very difficult to beat Bolivia. Like I said at the very beginning, Kingley, I would be very shocked. I've seen better teams struggle. So Derek King having a conversation with his players on the sideline, talking to them, telling them whatever he has to tell them. And just, imagine if we just cleared that ball out. We would still be 0-0 and Derek King could have, calmed his players down. But we're in a water break right now. So if you're just joining us, it is 1-0. Bolivia just scored a couple seconds ago. Good header. I think with all things considered, the more and more I look at the replay, I think we could have done better there. But who knows, maybe the physical toll is taking its place on players already. So everybody, if you're just joining us, be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on the social media right here. Join in the live chat. We'll be giving away prizes as well. We didn't stop that as well. So, we'll be taking random commenters. And, I want to say congratulations to Mark Molino. He got the first random draw. And we'll be doing another one soon. Not just with Trinidad Tobago content. The World Cup is coming up. So we'll be doing other live streams. And we'll be giving away a prize. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow, share. Now you can make donations and so on to the channel. We could do that as well. Super chats. So continue to subscribe. And, it really helps the channel, folks. So the game has resumed. Bolivia immediately on the attack again. I'm guessing they're smelling blood in the water. There's a player down for Bolivia. But Bolivia once again trying to, and they have been going down that left side a lot. It seems like their preferred area of attack. Another in-swinging cross. So clearly they identified some sort of weakness on that side. Bolivia with an in-swinging cross, not dealt with very convincingly by Trinidad Tobago. But it eventually rolled safely out of play for Trinidad Tobago. So, that is something that Bolivia clearly identified in the attack, because that's what they're doing. So Trinidad Tobago once again trying to build from the back, creating some passing lanes, but Bolivia doing well to cut those passing lanes. And Trinidad attempting to go down the wing here. Overhead ball that goes harmlessly to the goalkeeper, to Bolivia's goalkeeper. So this is going to be a long night, folks. If you're a fan of Trinidad Tobago, this is going to be a tough one. But I like always, I'm interested to see how this game goes. And, for fans of Trinidad Tobago, let me know what you think about this formation. What do you think about the tactics? What do you think about the players? What do you think about the situation right now? Also, I'm going to do a poll and a reaction after the game. I'm going to see if I can get the post-match conferences for you all. Where, let me know what you think about, Dwight York's resignation. Who do you think could take over? Do we have unrealistic expectations? Things like that. So I'm seeing Roblox Gamer Boy. Watch Barca game versus Sevilla. Barca got 2 penalties today. That was not a penalty at all. And it was reviewed by VAR, and VAR had the penalties wrong. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I notice. I'm wondering now if the people making the final decisions are questionable now. I think the VAR gets it right, the technology, but I think the decision making is ridiculous. Clinton, Arlene, Andre not looking good. I realistically, usually I do a match preview for these games. But I wasn't around for a while. I knew this was going to be a difficult game for us, a very difficult game. And we should play more games like this. I've been saying for years, playing against Venezuelan teams that will be very good for us. I think that's Alvin Jones on the floor looking like he's in a lot of pain. And I could tell you this, I see substitutes are warming up. I think if we get 3-1 against Bolivia, that's still pretty good. I always want us to win. But I think it's still pretty good for Trinidad Tobago. I see some substitutes warming up. and we'll see how it goes. But like I said, we're approaching the half an hour mark. The time really flies when we're doing this. Trinidad Tobago. Alvin Jones looks like he's not okay. And folks, like I said repeatedly, when you have those low oxygen levels, it really messes with your body. Your fitness levels, your ability to make decisions. And Bolivia knows this. Bolivia doesn't have to try too much. I'm going into the comment section here. Roblox, Gamer Boy, Portugal will do well in this World Cup, but they will not win it. So a corner from Bolivia. Alvin Jones looks, I don't know if he's coming back on. I think he's gesturing that he wants to come back on. But I could tell you the altitude is probably affecting the players already, and I'm sure in the post-match, I'm guessing with Derek King, I'll see if I could get my hands on it. If Trinidad Tobago, their thoughts on the altitude. Roblox, Portugal will do well, Kingsley, but what if Portugal do win the World Cup? I mean, Portugal has a very good team. Everybody knows I'm a big Argentina fan, but Portugal has a very good team. And it's not just Ronaldo. They have a proper team. So Vitinha and these guys. I even said it in the last World Cup and in the Euros. They do have a good team. There's a couple areas that they've strengthened. I think they have some people outside of Ronaldo that are pretty good as well. So they're a good team. Overhead ball, not cleared well by the keeper. A bit of a scramble here. So Bolivia hitting what seemed like a harmless overhead ball, but we were kind of playing with danger there because the ball bounced just in front of the box there, forcing an indecisive moment from the Trinidad Tobago keeper. Son, Portugal, Crinaldo holding back their team. So, folks, I will be doing a lot of live streams for the World Cup. I will be doing that. Maybe in some cool locations, and we could all have a meetup. But of course, I will be doing the Argentina games. Once again, another Trinidad Tobago player is down. Folks, the altitude, I'm telling you, will affect the players. Players will be winded. They'll probably want to faint. It happens to the best of the best. I don't know who that player is. Is that Jovan Jones? Who's that on the floor, folks? Can you all see who that is on the floor? On the floor? I can't tell. Yeah, their low altitude is still high for us. But I'm guessing, they probably did a compromise. So Clinton Allen, yeah, I know they usually play in La Paz, so that's why I did find the stadium did look a little bit different because I do watch the South American qualifiers. Usually I get information online about the game and the stadium and the rest, but I'm not getting that. But even so, it's still pretty high. It's still pretty high. Like I remember even Ecuador. I'm seeing here now, so I'm looking at the replay. Yeah, we got away with one there. We got away with one. But that's good. I think if we were playing in the usual stadium, as Clinton pointed out, we would have been roasted by now. But I think it's still pretty high up. I think the oxygen levels in Bolivia are problematic. So, yep. So thanks for that one, son. Roblox gamer. If Portugal win the World Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo will win the Super Ballon d'Or along with his 1,000 goal mark. Yeah, he seems to really want that 1,000. What am I saying? 1,000 goal mark. I don't know if he gets it. He gets it. If you win the World Cup, well, kudos to you. I can't be mad at anybody who wins a World Cup once they win it. Honestly. So back to the game here. Trinidad have yet to create a chance. I think, folks. 0 chances created. We do the furthest we got into the middle of the pitch and we would lose the ball. And we're not creating much. Bolivia has been creating chance after chance with not too much effort. They are pressing in the right areas. So for example, Trinidad gets 1 or 2 passes in, and now as you all see, we have to deal with a corner. Bolivia will, like I said at the beginning, yes, correct, Kingley. Bolivia have too much possession of the ball, but Trinidad don't. And I think they know this, and they will grind us down. And eventually, even though as Clinton pointed out, it's not the usual Bolivia stadium. It's still pretty high, and it will cause problems. So, for example, there was a clearance there, straight out. And Bolivia knows this. They could just take their time, pass the ball around. Trinidad Tobago will not chase after them because they know this. Opposition teams will very rarely chase after them. It's only, in the recent qualifiers where teams, Argentina, I guess, world champions, did a pretty good job getting 3-0 against Bolivia away from home. And I think in the last qualifiers, they won as well. That's not easy, folks. And it's a very rare occurrence. Usually they get draws of like 1-0, Brazil, big teams, and all teams go there and struggle in the main stadium. So, once again, Bolivia stretching, passing the ball back and forth, just wearing us down. Nobody team win inside Bolivia. Bolivia lose outside Bolivia. Yes, that's generally 99% true. It's only very rare cases. And only in recent times, Bolivia, like the last time I think they lost at home, I think it was 3-0 to Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. And I was shocked. I'm a big fan of Argentina, and I was shocked. So it's very difficult to defeat Bolivia. So I knew getting a win would be a tough result. But, there's a reason why, the Trinidad chose us friendly. I don't know the reasons. I'm not there with the technical team and the people that organize these things. It's usually competitive, financial, and, in terms of preparation. I think it's good for us because we'll be playing Venezuela up next. Playing South American opposition is very good. Venezuela, folks, is another very good team. If they were in a different confederation, I think they would have been... If they were in CONCACAF, I think they would have probably gotten to a World Cup or two by now. Or at least maybe one. And Bolivia as well. Bolivia has improved significantly. They're like as Kingsley mentioned, they're starting to get results away from home. That was their Achilles heel. They could not get results away from home, and that usually is what hurt them in the end. And Venezuela as well. And then they both have improved. If Bolivia was in Oceania or even CONCACAF, they would have made the World Cup. Because correct. Oceania is not a very strong region. No disrespect to them, but the world is changing. Coaching and it's debatable with Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody's improving and stepping up their game. So, it's the playing field is getting more and more level, at least at certain levels. The elite teams are still up there, but it's still pretty tight. It's look at Italy, for example. Italy has gone, but it's mostly due to corruption and so on. But teams like Italy you couldn't think about a team like Italy not being in the World Cup. But financial issues. Somebody sent me a comment once. Italy is using the TTFA financial plan. That's pretty harsh. But I understood what he meant. Corruption destroys football. And I'd put that question to everybody in the live stream. Do you think that we are still feeling the long-term benefits of corruption? Is it still present? What do you think? Let me know. Bro, how could Bolivia be in Oceania? Bolivia. No, he was saying if Bolivia was in Oceania, Kingsley. He was saying if they were there. In that confederation, they would have made it. If they were outside South America. Jaziem, am I pronouncing it correctly? Where can we watch? Folks, help out Jaziem in the chat there so you could watch the match. There's a couple links as people are watching the game. Princehood, Oceania doing some good things now. Yeah, correct. Like I said, all these teams are improving. All these teams. Bolivia inside the box. Could this be number 2 for Bolivia? And it is. It is. It was coming, folks. It was coming. Same goal scorer. It is 2-0 to Bolivia. So if you're just joining us in the 37th minute, Bolivia got their second goal. I'm not entirely surprised, and this is not me talking down Trinidad and Tobago, but folks, do you think, and drop a comment in the stream, do you think we could get a goal in this game? Do you think we could get a goal in this game? I think, to create a chance and score a goal in this game against Bolivia, and in these conditions, is something, we should at least try to aim for. So it's 2-0. A quick free kick. I think he called the back four sleeping. And yes, so it was a quick free kick. And he got the ball through the legs, and he was free. I think Trinidad could have done a lot better there. So let me update my score. It is now 2-0 to Bolivia. So, I'm just... from who? I mean, that's a very good question. I'm trying to be positive here. Let's see. Let's pull this back up. So Bolivia, I this sounds negative and it's not, but as expected, it's 2-0. Folks, help out Jaziem. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? And first of all, welcome. And also for everybody who's just joining in the chat, it is 2-0 Bolivia 2, Trinidad and Tobago in the 38th minute. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the like, and follow me on the socials below. It really helps the channel. It really supports the channel. It makes me continue to do what I'm doing. And, you also could head over to extvmedia.com. We have some very interesting, thought-provoking posts. And you could also purchase merch and things like that. So all these things help. So don't forget to subscribe, folks. It really helps the channel. So we're continuing here, folks. And we also have giveaways. Don't forget that. We always take a random viewer and we may give away a jersey. Last time we gave away a jersey with signatures. A Trinidad and Tobago jersey. Maybe a team of your choice. Maybe a copy of EAFC 26. Who knows? Who knows? But you do get prizes. Once you do all these things and follow and, whatever. And then, of course, when you comment regularly, it helps. Just saying. So once again, Bolivia in possession. We're approaching the 40th minute. 2-0. Bolivia 2, Trinidad and Tobago 0. So let's read some comments. And Jasiem, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Let me know. Let me know. Personally, I think we should give Dwight York more time, but I see why they... Yeah, I thought he should have stayed on, but, I always knew at the back of my mind, how financially sustainable that was. And then we found out that the government was paying for his salary. So it means, that assistance, if it's not there, which that's a whole other issue. We don't generate that much money. It's an association, it's going to be hard to pay the salaries of York plus his coaching staff. It's a business. Roblox gamer Trinidad needs Stephen Hart Lounge, the one who won the World Cup for Germany. Or Low, I'm assuming you say Low, in 2014. And Klinsmann, the former USA and Germany national coach. I mean, that would be great if we would get those guys. Can we afford their salaries? Can we pay these guys? Are these guys even interested? I was talking about that in my last YouTube video. You could check that out, folks. When this game is done, you can head over to the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so, please. It really helps. And I had a lengthy live discussion about that, about, who our coaches should be. And I even asked AI who they thought. So you could check that out when you're done. So Trinidad and Tobago with a rare foray into the Bolivian attacking third. We are possibly getting our full shot on goal. A cutback. Is it a shot? Oh! we almost got not just a shot on goal, but it was a pretty convincing opening. So it shows, and I think it was Telfer. So Telfer got in. He cut back on his first man, but Bolivia, to their credit, the other centre-back came in and did a good job of stopping him from getting the shot off. So, it shows Trinidad should take some promise from this. Hey, it's not an impossible task. So Telfa with a good chance there. Bolivia doing well to stop it. So I want to get your name correct. Jasim. So you see, Jasim. That's a cool name, man. Trinidad with a shot on goal. Folks, I just got my thing. We were saying no shots on goal, but, it shows that, we do have the capability of causing Bolivia problems. So delivery by Telfa. Just wide of the goal. Just wide of the goal. My stream is a little bit... you see, I'm wearing my new glasses now, folks. I wore it in the last stream. So we're creating chances. Trinidad with a quick corner here. The ref blew it off. I don't know why. I need to hydrate. Folks, I have to take care of my vocal cords. And welcome, Jasim. Kingley, so close, yes. So, folks, like I said, have some hope. We play these games to try to improve ourselves. So there's another corner for Trinidad and Tobago. Whipped in. Let's see what's happening here. Partially cleared by Bolivia. There's still a bit of a struggle. Oh, I think with a little more determination, we could have probably got that 50-50 ball at the end there. So Bolivia trying to take some pressure off with a quick... the keeper with a quick release, but it didn't work. It went straight out of play. And Trinidad should take heart from this. If you're going into halftime and it's 2-0, Trinidad could go into this game at halftime and say, guys, listen, in spite of all the conditions, we created some chances. And make no mistake, even though it's not the usual stadium, we are struggling. So Roblox, bringing back Angus makes no sense at all. Trinidad and Tobago will be going backwards. Yeah, I know a lot of people are very divisive about Angus. And, like I said, folks, we could call all the names we want. It's who is available, who wants the job, and who Trinidad can afford to pay. And that's a kind of harsh reality sometimes we have to face. Sometimes we just don't have that kind of money to spend. International football and football is very expensive. It's a very expensive sport. And, to do these things and get it right is important. That's why development and creating our own coaches over time is important. So Trinidad doing well to keep some possession here. We did make a foray into the Bolivian box. Trinidad opting to going back into their own half to keep possession. I think it's a bit of game management and fitness management right now. After we created those chances, I think even though they created the chances, they don't want to overcommit and then concede a third, which shows a little bit of, footballing IQ there. Kingley, when not bringing back Angassi, we should find a foreign-based coach. Kingley, was it you that said your dream coach would be Yakim Low? I mean, if we get him, that's great. But, that's a tough one. And then, do we have the resources to make these guys? Because, I mean, if you don't have the infrastructure in place to get things done, and, to get results will be a very unrealistic ask. So Trinidad and Tobago trying to play the ball out the back, doing well to try to calmly get it out, but you could see a little bit of heaviness in the legs of some of the players. So folks, if you don't know, the reason why I'm saying that, I worked, before I did this stuff, I was a football analyst. I worked with several teams. Bolivia whipping in a shot that I was almost in, just not being able to make contact to get that third goal. My Melgar, number 20. Just missing it at the far post. So they're saying 4 minutes of extra time. So they're showing the replay here. So let's see now. Let's see. I have the cool things here. I could add that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know if you've seen it on the screen, folks. Boom. See, I'm trying to make the stream. Folks, let me know what you think about the stream. I'm trying to improve it. So Prince Hoodie, if everybody feels this game bad, wait for the FIFA series. Venezuela is going to be a tough game, folks. Once again, I think Alvin Jones using a little bit of tactical intelligence there. He's kind of sitting. I notice you see some of the guys on the bench looking a little bit relaxed. I don't really like that. I think he should be into the game. That's just my personal opinion. But I was giving you all a quick insight while they're attending to Alvin Jones, who I think is strategically eating some time, which is smart. Because some people asked me, and they told me to mention it. So I worked with professional teams. I am an analyst. I worked with the Trinidad Tobago women's team for a little while under Kenwin Jones. I studied this stuff in school, so even though I'm a media guy and I do analysis and so on, I do have a pretty good understanding of some of the physical aspects of the game. And that's why sometimes on EXTV we do interviews with people like Gregory Seal and movement mechanics and those types of guys to just get people to have not just a superficial understanding of the game, but we sit down and we talk tactics and we educate each other. So that's what I do. That's what I used to do. I worked on teams. And I always trying to improve myself and be better. So Alvin Jones looked like he's injured. And of course we saw that earlier. We saw some indications. He looks upset. So a quick substitution for Trinidad and Tobago here. We're playing in white, of course. I don't have the white kit. I was hoping it was just a little bit of a delayed tactic, but Alvin Jones seems to be injured. So he's out. Substitution in. So Trinidad, I guess, is going to run down the clock. So it's Pay, I believe. What is that? Yeah, Adam Pay, right? Correct. It was Adam Pay. It's coming on. It's Son, answer me this. We're going backwards. Why call up Joven and Alvin? I think we'll have to see, because Derek King is the interim coach. That's the problem when you have interim coaches. Although it worked out very well for Argentina, but that's extreme. I think when you have an interim coach, they usually just call like the safe call-ups. They just go with what's safe, I think. Not too much experimenting. You don't want to go and get too much losses and so on. So I think when you have an interim coach, it's more of a stability issue. But I personally think it's time, we start moving forward. I think we were going in a decent direction with Dwight York. But I think I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, I'm trying to figure out the thought process. If you're an interim coach, you probably just want to pick players that you're familiar with. And I guess that's why you went with Alvin and Joven Jones. Why Trinidad don't have money? We're only spinning top in mod recycling coach inside Trinidad. Rising Up, that's a whole documentary right there. If you look at the Netflix FIFA documentary, the whole, when Jack Warner was there, the FIFA corruption, the inability. A lot of people don't understand that we have a bit of an opportunity here on top of the box. but the heavy-leggedness there, we did create a bit of a half chance there, but it was blocked by Bolivia, and it shows, the legginess of the Trinidad and Tobago players. That little, when you play a game for 90 minutes, you know how your leg feels? Bolivia now resorting to long-range shots. So whenever we create a chance, Bolivia tries to react immediately. But we have created 2 decent openings in the last 6 minutes. I know I sidetracked from what I was talking about. So if you're just joining us, we're approaching the 50th minute in the first half. There was 4 minutes of extra time. And, Trinidad and Tobago 2-0. But, Bolivia expectedly in the lead with the amount of chances they created. At the end, I will get some SofaScore stats. But, Trinidad did create 2 chances. 2 chances. So, I don't have the ref blowed for halftime yet. So, it's still going on. No, it's still on. So, why Trinidad don't have money? We only... so, I mean... I will have a separate show about this if you all want. But there's so many factors in addition to the corruption aspect. So, I think it's halftime. So, let me stop my clock. Trinidad, has football and a football association. There's a lot of financial aspects about running and attracting sponsors and so on. And, that's a whole topic I can't get into now. But there's an inability to attract and generate revenue in the TTFA. It's not just about sponsors, but even this game, it's about financial revenue generation. And the money just isn't there. We were owed lots and lots and lots. Sorry, the TTFA had lots and lots of debts. That's why they had the normalization committee and just years and years of financial mismanagement, and now there's an element of mistrust. Financial companies will think, well, hey, why am I going to put my money here if people are going to steal my money? So that's a whole thing, and we could have a discussion about that if you're all want during the week. I'm going to bring back EXTV live, so you could let me know what you think. So Kingsley Ledge Ben Hacker was not from Poland; he is from Netherlands. Okay, so I think the half is finally done here. So let me just stop the clock here. So, folks, if you're just joining us, it is 2-0 to Bolivia. It is now halftime. Bolivia has created a lot of chances. And everybody in the live stream for here, I just want to stop to remind you all, before we continue, be sure to click the like on the video. It really helps. Be sure to subscribe. Comment in the comment section below. Share the video so your friends are them joining the live stream with us. Also, you can make donations, purchase merch, you have super chats and all these cool things that really support the channel. And also, we also have our giveaways that we're continuing. When you continue to follow us on our socials and do all those things, we'll be having giveaways. So anybody in here, you could get a prize. It could be a jersey with signatures. It could be a jersey of your choice. It could be a copy of EAFC. Who knows? There's no limits. So, I'm trying to, have some fun with everybody in here. So, it is now halftime. I'm reading some of the comments here. Dwight York got 5 out of 10 from Kingley. Dwight York was perfect, the perfect face for TTFA. He did well with the squad and got results when he applied the right tactics. His downfall was showing too much respect to the tougher opponents. I think if we could have kept him on, that would have been great. And I think it was a similar situation with Kenwin Jones on the women's team. They were starting to do well. And they just didn't have the resources to keep him on. And I think it's a similar situation. It costs a lot of money, folks. Let's see. Let me scroll up to some of the comments here. I want to get everybody's comments. Wow, there's a lot of comments. I'm going to catch up with a lot of them here. And I really appreciate everybody joining in the live stream, folks. We really created a great community. And I want to let everybody know in the stream that since we started doing these streams, we have acquired over, I think, 1,500 subscribers. Now we have crossed the 3,000 mark. The viewership has skyrocketed, and it is very humbling. And I want to say a special thank you to everybody right now who is looking at this stream. A special thank you for the support and the continued support. This community that we've built, and it's helping the channel grow. Each of you, when you do this, it helps us build a community with people all over the planet. It brings awareness and knowledge to the Trinidad and Tobago national team. And, it helps me personally and the channel. And it's just great to have a conversation with Trinidad and Tobago fans all over the world. So I want to let everybody who's listening right now know this. I appreciate that. So I see the comments are flying in right now. So let's see. The score, guys. Oran Hernandez, if you're just joining us, it is 2-0 at halftime. Bolivia. Trinidad and Tobago 0. They have been creating a lot of chances as expected. But, Oran, we did create 2 decent chances in the end there. So I'm thinking, with fatigue and, oxygen levels aside, that's not bad. Prince Hood is, yes, 2-0 down, keeping him on top of things. Roblox Gamer, what about Stern John to coaching Trinidad and Tobago national team? I look at that as a waste. Like I said, I would love... I think Dwight York checked a lot of boxes in terms of not just the coaching and the type of friendlies he was able to attract, but being able to possibly bring back that little fanfare and, corporate aspect to Trinidad and Tobago football. But, a lot of people are mentioning Stephen Hart in my last live stream. That's an interesting option. So, folks, if you're just joining us, it is halftime. Trinidad and Tobago 2, Bolivia 0. Let me know what you think about the squad. Let me know what you think about the formation. Let me know what you think about how we're playing right now. What do you think about that last moment where we created some chances? And what do you think about this and how it enables us to prepare for the upcoming games against Venezuela? Just your thoughts. I want to hear thoughts on that as well. And also, I'm going to read some of your comments as well. Oren Hernandez, well done, bro. I'm not... Remind me is that me, Oran? You're telling me well done? I'm not sure what it is for. Prince Hoodie Stern John struggling with St. Lucia. I don't think, I think he needs a little bit more experience. I would like if maybe, we do get a high level coach, but then we make sure that the coaches like the Stern Johns and the Kenwin Jones and all these people work under these coaches and get experience. And then even the younger coaches that are aspiring to get into coaching, because there's a bit of an issue where I had years ago in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a kind of who you know thing in Trinidad and Tobago if you want to become a coach. Some of the best coaches and players were unknowns. People who think outside the box, who have a fresh way of thinking, trying new things. And, obviously... it's well documented that we have kind of plateaued. I think, to be honest, with Dwight York, we did go up a bit. Anger stabilized things. And, it's going to take time, folks. Time, money, and the right people. So, Dwight will be back. Prince Hood. Oh, you do it for us. Oh, yeah, listen, Oren, this is a very organic, interactive experience for everybody here, and I like that it's live, and it's even when I do the episodes, in addition to the other content we have, we have some very different content, esports content, even CPL stuff for those who like that. There's a bunch of new stuff that I'm working on, especially for the World Cup that's coming up, so you all could stay tuned for that. It's really up to you all, if you all want me to resume the weekly episodes where I talk about topics you all want to talk about, what day you all want it. I do topics of your choice. And we'll bring people like Shaka Hislop, Kenwin Jones, and we'll come in the studio. Kenwin came a while back. And we have, instead of like the boring television where you sit down and ask questions, you actually engage in real time. So, yeah. So, let me know what you all think about it if you all want me to bring back the weekly episodes. Kingley, Jester, and Elijah Cordner will play in the second half. Actually, while you guys are doing this, I'm going to see if I can pull up some stats. And hydrate as well. Stay right here. I'm not going anywhere. All right, I'm back. So like I said, folks, I had some little issues in my studio. First of all, you all hearing me okay? This is a new mic. You can't see it has a cool LED thing there. I could even change my voice, but I don't want to do that on the stream. I don't want to mess with it right now. But yes. Let me read some comments. So James, Jester, and Elijah Cordner will play in the second half. Yeah, but they'll definitely have to make some substitutions. So everybody's in the stream right now. It's 2-0. Trinidad and Tobago it's struggling, I think, as expected, but they're not doing as bad as I thought they would have been, considering, with the stuff that's going on in the TTFA. I think, the approach to the game is as expected. And just for context, people, when we play bigger teams in South America, when they play Bolivia, struggle against Bolivia. The Brazils, the Argentinas, the Uruguays, the Colombias. So, 2-0 down, with all things considered, isn't that bad. What I would say is a positive from this is that we did manage to create two chances at the end there. But you could see, from those who know what you're looking at, and those of you who, savvy with the physical aspects, you could see the heaviness in the players, the heavy breathing. Even though, as I think Clinton pointed out, it's not the usual Bolivia stadium, it does show a massive, it does have a massive effect on the players. You could see they're panting, their strides, they're a little bit off. The reflexes will be a little bit off. It could bring forth injuries. I don't know if Trinidad Tobago, some teams, arrange oxygen tanks at halftime for these sort of things. The preparation for these games are very tricky. You could either go very close to the game, or you try to go in advance and acclimatize. It's just one of those things. So folks in the live stream, let me know what you think. If you're in here, let me know where you're watching from. I know there's a lot of viewers that are not from Trinidad and Tobago. They're from all over the planet, so you can let me know what you think. So while we're here, I'm going to multitask and pull up some stats. So folks, I'm going to ask again. I just saw Champ3468 subscribed. Thank you so much for the subscription. Like I said, we got a couple subscriptions here. So I'm trying to pull it up here because I could see it on the screen while it's coming up. I'm going to see if I can adjust this really quickly. The one thing about real time is that I'm doing all this in real time. You all are seeing me. So it's very real. Very, very real. I'm trying to find some stats for you guys. Usually I take halftime. I actually made a promise to myself to hydrate at halftime because it does take. So I saw Jasim subscribed. So Jasim, welcome to the family, the Extra Time TV family. So let me try to pull out some stats quickly here. So it's halftime. For those of you who don't know where to watch the game, people in the live stream, you could tell me. Bolivia environment is, it's not. It's definitely not. Even though, as Clinton pointed out, it's not the same stadium. It definitely is difficult to play. Not just Bolivia, but any South American team. And I think I understand the logic with playing Bolivia because we'll be playing Venezuela up next. Another team that normally struggles in South America, but has taken some big scalps in the last couple campaigns. And make no mistake, they're going to be difficult. And I think these teams only make us better. Like the Unity Cup that Dwight York and they played, all these games help us. And I wish we had the continuity. And I'm guessing with Derek King, they will have some level of continuity. Some people are even saying let Derek King take over because he's been in and around so long. But let me know who you think is going to be the coach. Jasim, I've been trying to add subscription animations, and for some reason, they only work offline. So, for example, when I'm not streaming, then I would get the notifications. I don't know why. I'm probably going to have to reinstall my streaming software because it's popping up here, but I realize people in the stream don't see it. So I'll have to work on that because I want everybody to see my people. When they're making, when people make the donations and so on. Because I did try to fix it offline before the stream, tested it out. It works offline, and then nothing happens. So, I'm going to see if I could pull out some SofaScore stats here while we're talking. But yeah, I'm going to try to do that. I'm always trying to improve the stream. If you're wondering why the screen is off, and I may turn it on just now, I did have a little issue with my studio. So you can see all my football jerseys there. It's in the stream there. You can't see it. But I'll probably move it in a couple seconds. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break for a couple seconds. Don't go anywhere, folks. Keep the comments coming. And I'll be back. Okay, I don't know what's happening here, but... All right, everyone, and we're back. The players are coming back onto the field. Let me know if you're hearing me okay. So I did some quick adjustments here. And the kickoff has resumed immediately. It's immediately back on, so I'm going to have to fix my clock. Bolivia aggressively attacking Trinidad and Tobago. I did not get much chance to... So let's see here. It's Bolivia immediately on the attack. Oops. There we go. So if you're just joining us, the second half has resumed. Trinidad and Tobago with a rare foray up front, trying to take the offensive. Trinidad winning the ball up front. Trinidad being a bit more aggressive in this half, catching Bolivia off guard. A overlapping run into the box, across. Well intercepted by Bolivia. I think Bolivia may have been caught a bit off guard here, folks. A bit off guard. That's what I think. I think Bolivia got a little bit caught off guard here with that. So, like I said, we've started the second half. Trinidad and Tobago started on the offense. And like I said, folks, let me know if you're hearing me okay. Trinidad with a bit of a half chance there. So, definitely Derek King must have saw what took place at the end of the second half and decided, you know what? Attack these guys. And you're right. So I'm seeing welcome to the chat. Kamba Pilau. Apila. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Welcome. They are feeling too confident, which happens when they are winning by little margins. Their mindset needs to change for sure. Neil Jones 930. You watch the FIFA rankings. Number 76. So yes, so first of all, welcome. Kambapel Lau. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I want to pronounce it correctly. Let me know how to pronounce it. Rising up extra time TV Trinidad have to spend their money to make money, invest in good coaches, staff. Yep, over and over, which includes changing some people within the organization. So Trinidad and Tobago starting a little bit more positive this time around. Which is to be expected. Derek King is probably saying, hey, listen, you guys take a crack at these players now, But in the end, I think fitness will be a bit of an issue. Guys, you may not see it because I'm doing some work on my but I have a boatload of jerseys here. Got this from the U.S. men's national team analyst, Thomas Rongan, when Bruce Arena was here. That's a whole other thing. Back to the game. So, yes, Cambo Pilau. Interesting. Let me know where you all from. So, Trinidad putting Bolivia, as expected. As not expected exactly. You could tell Bolivia is a little bit surprised. Telfer forcing a foul on top of the box here, folks. So, a positive start in the second half. Telfer drawing a foul. So, we're getting our first free kick. Let's see how we handle that. Now, usually in the usual Bolivia stadium, from what I've been told, they say the altitude affects the trajectory of the ball and the height. So, let's see how that goes. I don't think it's going to be direct. I think it's Jovan Jones on the ball. Is that Jovan? So, a lot of teams when they come to Bolivia usually try to float the ball in because it floats a little bit more. So I've been told. Welcome. You're from Bolivia, but also raised in the U.S. So, wow, that's welcome then. You see, that's what I love about this. All are welcome here. So, welcome to the chat. It's really good to have somebody from Bolivia in here to get your perspective. What do you think about the Bolivian team? Be sure to like and subscribe as well. And, do you think Bolivia has a good chance of making it to the World Cup? Would love to hear that. So, welcome. So, Bolivia in possession. Trinidad starting definitely a bit more aggressive, which seemed to have caught Bolivia a bit off guard. So, let's see how Bolivia handle the situation. Let's see how we handle the situation, because we have to be very mindful, we don't overcommit and then concede recklessly. But at the same time, this is a good scenario for our players to practice and be like, hey, we're 2-0 down against a tough team. Bolivia now starting to give away the ball a little bit. Trinidad trying to resort to some play down the wing, but the ball was a little bit too far to get to. So, Bolivia will probably try to calm things down. So, Trinidad definitely pressing higher up this time around. Camp, can I call you Camp for short? Anxious to face Suriname and hope we can qualify for sure. Yes, I'm curious as well. because I've been following South American football for a long time, and you guys have been getting some good results in recent times away from home, which is very good. I mean, I know you all get pretty good results at home, even Brazil's and the Argentinas and so on, but getting those results away from home are really important. So Trinidad and Tobago looking a bit more sprightly. Let's see if they could sustain that. Not being able to really make much of it yet, but Bolivia now going to have to kind of reassert their authority on the game, because they were very confident in the first half. And of course, this will raise the question, should we attack first? But I guess, Trinidad is learning in swing and cross. So they're doing that tactic again, folks. In swing and cross. So you think it's going to end 3-0? Folks, let me know your predictions for the score lines. Drop those comments and let me know what you think about the predictions and your subscriptions. Oh, I saw you subscribe, Camp. I really appreciate that. Bolivia could get number 3, and it is 3-0. So I guess obviously my stream is a couple seconds behind. I'm realizing that now. So a third goal by Nava. Number 11 for Bolivia. And this is what I was saying just before the goal was scored. This is a scary thing. When you start to attack, then they take you out. So it is now 3-0 to Bolivia. Trinidad did try to start off aggressively this time around, and their reward was conceding a goal. That's to tell you how this game is, folks. That's to tell you how this game is. I'm genuinely, so there's a nice little 1-2 combination. Bolivia whipping the ball across and, doing enough to destabilize our defenders. And, to be honest, I kind of knew that coming, and I said that in the first half. Bolivia would just be patient, and eventually they would get their chances. So, folks, do you think it's going to stay 3-0? Just Trinidad and Tobago going to create chances? Because we're going to have to, learn to manage these types of games. So, back to the comments. Everybody's saying 3-0, Prince Hoodie, Son. Suriname is a Dutch Caribbean team, so what if Suriname pulls off a big upset, win over Bolivia? But if they beat Suriname, that'll be historic. It'll be historic for both teams. So we'll see how that goes. So Cam, what do you think? What do you think about this game so far? You've played Trinidad once before. I would love to hear a Bolivian perspective on how you all see Trinidad and Tobago. That'll be interesting. Everybody's welcome here. Jabari Bryce is full of rubbish. I have to hydrate a lot, folks. Is it me, or when we're doing these games, the time really flies a lot? And also, folks, give me a verdict on the new mic. Do you prefer the old mic, or this one sounds okay? So, Camp, we usually play at our home stadium in La Paz, correct? Which is one of the 2 capital cities in Bolivia. La Paz is around 3,500 meters above sea level, which is high altitude. Yeah, correct. I've been following South American football my entire life, and I've seen how the altitude affects some players. You guys are a fortress there. I was actually shocked when Argentina got a victory, that 3-0 victory, and because I know that's not easy to do. But that's a proper fortress you guys have here. Santa Cruz is a tropical city close to Brazil. Rising up, it's a good experience for us. So, we did try to start off on the offensive, and unfortunately, Bolivia, which I expected them to do. I think they understand, even though it's not La Paz, that they would know their chances would come. Oops. Would that be considered a fall throw? The ball fell out of his hand. Shot on goal. Not a bad effort. Forcing a save from Trinidad and Tobago. Bolivia has not been afraid to take shots from outside the box. And, for the Trinbagonians in here, we have our upcoming game against Venezuela. Is this good preparation? What do you think? Bolivia taking a shot, but it was blocked from outside the box. Correct, in recent years, teams have been adjusting to the altitude, and Argentina pulled that shock win. Yeah, I noticed in recent years, it seems as if, some teams, particularly, I guess, Argentina, they have good players, but, they have been adjusting. I remember back in the 2006 campaign, Jose Peckerman used 2 teams. Yes, I saw you all. Brazil almost beat us in the last game, but we won 1-0. I know teams usually don't have a good thing, but Trinidad with a rare foray into the Bolivian box. Can we create a shot on goal? Not enough. Not enough. Not enough support. Trinidad Tobago getting a rare moment into the box. And unfortunately, it was not enough in the end. Kingley, believe it or not, Brazil and plenty of other teams lose to Bolivia pretty regularly. It's strange. South American qualifiers, during the World Cup, people don't look at the qualifiers, but they look at the other things. South American qualifiers are very tough. Very, very tough. I know we were going to get a cut from the time I see the squad. And there we go. It is 4-0. I looked away for 1 second. Is it offside? It is offside. So you know what Trinidad is going to have to do now? Do we try to attack and create some chances? Do we sit back and try to do damage control? Do we try to attack and say, okay, it's a learning experience? I don't know why I'm coughing so much. I usually don't cough this much during a stream. So, Trinidad Tobago. Yeah, it's very tough. Like I remembered when Mbappe said that's European football. He made a condescending comment towards South American football, and like this guy clearly does not look at the qualifiers. And then in the top teams, like the Brazils and the Argentinas and the Colombias, a lot of these players play in Europe. So it's not like in the 1960s where the 90% of the squad were playing in their original home. So Bolivia, I told people this earlier, camp, that if Bolivia was in a different confederation, they probably, like let's say if they were in CONCACAF or Oceania, they probably could have made it at least in maybe 1 World Cup by now. But I mean, it's a tough confederation with tough teams. Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. With a whole bunch of World Cups amongst themselves. It's not easy. I look at all those games. Look at Chile. What's going on with Chile? So Bolivia trying to improve, step up the intensity right now. If you're just joining us, folks, we are in the 57th minute. And, Trinidad Tobago 3-0 down. Almost 4, but it was offside. We did start off very aggressively, but Bolivia quickly pushed us back. So it's very tough. So Josh is saying, what sense it makes to carry mediocre players to Bolivia? I genuinely asked that question. If because it's not a full FIFA international, that's why we probably didn't get our best players, and we have to get who's available. That's one of my reasons, I think. So they can't get the full squads. Godoy, number 18, looks like he's in a lot of pain. He has been. So let's take a look at the replay here. Cross deep, winning the header. But it seems like he got a knock in that collision. Compared to the last 10 years, it's improved. Yes, correct. I agree with that. I think South American football is tough. Just look at Venezuela. A little bit of an aggressive nudge there by both players. Bit of frustration stepping in there. This is not our full national team, so it's okay for young players. I guess it's our opportunity to play alternate players because clubs, first of all, clubs will not release players if it's not in the international window. Oh my goodness, there's a head collision. So, Oba is checking on him. Dr. Oba. Godoy, hopefully not an injury. He looks like he's okay, Camp. He looks like he's okay. And folks, that's what I like about this Extra Time TV live stream. We have people from both teams in here. So it's a very interesting discussion, and I love the fact that we could reach a global reach. The last couple of games there were people all over Europe and so on, and the subscription and views have really gone up. And for everybody who's new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on the socials. We do have giveaways, Camp, and everybody else who's joining us, you could head over to extvmedia.com, and we have interesting posts, not just news. Our take on certain things. The World Cup is coming up. We have giveaways and we have prizes. We give away jerseys to random subscribers and viewers. And we are going to resume our weekly episodes. And we have people like Shaka Hislop from ESPN, Kenwin Jones, former Trinidad Tobago players, and a lot of former people that sometimes they come in the studio. Hayden Tinto. Is that Hayden Tinto as in the actual former player? Or is that just a coincidence? Where can I see the game? Folks, help out Tinto in there and let him know what the links are where he could see the game. I do have a tickle in my throat, folks. It is a bit annoying. So if I pause, it's the recharge. So as you can see, folks, if you're wondering, you may not even notice this because we're focused on the game. This is my jersey collection. You can't see it. It's usually off camera, but I had to do some rearranging. But actually, it doesn't look too bad. It actually looks very football-ish. I have a very interesting collection. A lot of South American teams. Bolivia with a long-range shot. Could the rebound go in? Ooh, Godoy blasting it wide from the rebound. But Bolivia not afraid to take long-range shots. Not bad. Those balls are usually problematic for keepers, especially when they drop in front of the keeper and they swerve like that. If you see in the replay, you can see that. Well, welcome here done, folks. You know, for those of you who don't know, former player of Trinidad and Tobago. Very talented player. Tinto, a lot of people, players that I spoke to in interviews, Anthony Roger and many others, said you were one of the best dribblers they've ever seen. And there's a couple others. So, I thought so as well. So, welcome to the live stream. If you want to see the game, people help out Hayden. I'm seeing it on, I have a stream that I pay for, but you could go to scorchtv.com. It's there. So, you know, Hayden, you know, I hope that helps out. And, you know, be sure to subscribe before you go and like the video. And, you know, maybe you could join us. There's a large community here. And we could take a look at not just the game, but have discussions about Trinidad and Tobago football. Even you could tell us your experiences. And, you know, we have some cool shot power challenges and dribbling challenges. Very different from what you see, folks. And I'd like to say a special thank you to SofaScore, who has been consistently providing us with world-class data on games. So, Bolivia winning the possession in our half, but Trinidad definitely showing a bit more potency in terms of their tackling and aggression in the attack. We are once again in the Bolivian area, but unfortunately in the end, you know, Bolivia does enough just to throw us off so we don't get that final pass in. But you could see Trinidad is attempting to try to create chances and so on. They are attempting to create chances. So I hope you got through, Hayden. Let me know. And for those in the stream, you know, even if you didn't know, you should know. Hayden Tinto is one of our former national players. Very talented dribbler, from what I remember. So I'm seeing Gary Dobbins, 7585. So Tinto, Josh, Gary, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And, you know, continue to support us. We do have regular things. We do have Kenwin and Shaka and those guys on Hayden. My throat is killing me today. There was someone, I hope I didn't get the flu from them, but I hope I didn't. So Bolivia has a corner. Trinidad has a corner. Not the best delivery, but we still have possession. A bit of a scramble on top of the box there. Trinidad trying to hold possession to try to create something. Bolivia trying to calmly get the ball out, and they're doing okay. Bolivia now quickly transitioning into attack. They were pinned back for a split second, and that's how quickly drawing a foul. So Sean Lyons, welcome. Welcome to the live stream, Sean. Prince Hood, Ade ain't touched the ball yet. Yeah, this is a tough game. I still think we're doing okay. Folks, I hope I'm not getting the flu. There was somebody yesterday when I was in Starbucks coughing, completely inconsiderate. And then had the nerve to say, hey, I had a bad flu for the last month and a half. My doctor said I should stay indoors. Seriously, what is wrong with people? You're just going around giving people the flu. But anyway, Bolivia on the attack. Coming down our left side defensively. Trinidad doing well to contain it. You can see Trinidad are trying to create some attacks. But Bolivia are trying now to take back a bit more control over the game. And you can see now they're trying to kind of put their foot on us. This is where, Bolivia could take advantage because, doing the fit as we approach, like this stage in the game, the fitness levels will be a factor. I don't know what the fitness levels are with some of these guys. So Josh, yeah, I know, Camp. That's crazy. I wanted to punch that person. It was a lady, and she was so nonchalant about it. She was coughing, and she's like, "Oh, my doc specifically said stay indoors." It's that inconsiderate sort of behavior that causes things to go around. Ricky B, welcome back. This is painful to watch. Thank God we didn't qualify for the World Cup. We would have got destroyed. Quality of our football remains to be far inferior to other teams. Who knows? Maybe we would have stepped up our game if we qualified. People would have jumped on board. I don't know. But it is not the best display of Trinidad and Tobago football. Josh, as we were building with Dwight, the TTFA got rid of him. And I understand why people are saying that. A lot of people saw the progression. But there's a lot of work to do with Trinidad and Tobago football. And Camp, really, whoa, they should at least wear feet. Yeah, correct. EXTV sent me a Trinidad t-shirt. Rising Up, let me know where you are. I did have for the last qualifier some extra jerseys. They probably all gone. I will see if I have one more. And those were for the giveaways, but I told people if they wanted to buy some, I could have probably gotten some at that time. But let me know where you're from, Rising Up, and we could arrange, reach out, email at extratimetvtt.com, and we go from there. Josh, it's always the board of directors of the football associations ruining projects. Happens in Bolivia a lot too. It's interesting to get a perspective from someone outside Trinidad and Tobago because it seems that's not a unique problem to Trinidad and Tobago where the administrations seem to get a lot of the reasons for a lot of the problems. We should have kept York, but he was building something for us. All he needed was the right resources. And I think that's the problem. I don't think we had the right resources for Dwight York. So we're seeing players, one with a groin injury and the goalkeeper's down. So we're probably going to have a goalkeeping substitution here, folks. So Camp, I live in the U.S., Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, Camp, I love Las Vegas. I went there a couple times. Had a lot of fun. Took a drive from Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon. Who knows if I ever end up there and we have a EXTV meetup. We could hang out. Talk about some South American football. Sean Lyon, sorry to see Dwight go. We really need to set new standards. Clearly the region and the rest of the world is speeding ahead. Correct? Correct. And I think this is not a new argument. And it's something we could discuss on another episode. So folks, if you're just joining us, we're approaching the 68 minute. Bolivia 3, Trinidad and Tobago 0. We did create a couple, I would say not even half chances, but a couple chances at the end of the second half and a couple in the first half. Trinidad started off a bit more aggressively in the second half and then conceded a third. But you could see some attempt to try to be more aggressive for Trinidad and Tobago. So Josh Rio is a baller, Payne is a baller, Levi is a monster. Yes, a lot of our big players won't be here, and not to just be a constant negative person, but I'm been defending them a little bit here. I think because it's not a official FIFA window, that's why we didn't get to see a lot of our big guns here. Bolivia clearly are not afraid to try shots from outside the box. Maybe it's an instruction from their coach. I know Lambe was one of the former keepers. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Cam, for Bolivia. I know he's gone now. So let's see now. Rio's a baller. Also, Rising Up in Canada. Oh, okay. Well, Rising Up. There is a EXTV site, which usually is at the end of our videos in the description, where you could actually have stuff delivered to you from EXTV. Plus, it supports the channel. So that could probably save things. You could go there, head across, and, do that. Not the Trinidad jerseys, though. I don't have those on this site. But, like, EXTV merch, if you want to support, it gets there in, like, less than a day sometimes, 2 days. A lot of Canadian people bought from the merch store. So I don't think it's in this link in this description, but it's usually in the other videos. I will put it when it's done. And I will put it in the YouTube community. A lot of people have been asking me to create the WhatsApp group as well. So we could do that as well and communicate. So we could do that. So Rising Up, let me know what you think about that. So camp, it would have been interesting to see big guns on both TNT, TNT and Bolivia in a game. Yep, it's Lampe, right? That's it. I said Lambe. He's still the main goalkeeper. And okay, wow, he's been there a long time. So I thought he retired for some reason, but I guess Bolivia has been trying out new people. Andre, when is Jamaica playing in the World Cup playoffs? I actually don't know that date. I'll get that for you in a little while. I'm definitely getting something, folks. That person definitely gave me something. So, like, folks, we're in the 70th minute. Bolivia 3, Trinidad Tobago 0. I think, I'm reading so many questions here with Dwight York and everybody else. And just reading some of the comments. We are in a very sad place. Very, very, very much in a sad place, I think, because I don't know the direction of Trinidad Tobago. I will try to see if I can do an interview with the TTFA president and players within the setup. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Trinidad Tobago trying to create opportunity here, but unfortunately it was isolated up front. Not much. So the game has kind of petered off a bit here. Bolivia kind of slowing things down. Trinidad Tobago not really pressing as much as they used to before, because I think they're understanding that Bolivia is trying to kind of slow the game down. Trinidad clearly playing with 5 at the back when not in possession. So it looks like a 5-2. I can't really tell because obviously there's a lot of rotations taking place. But Bolivia is slowing things down. They're clearly slowing things down. But, the one consolation is that Trinidad and Tobago are forcing unforced errors, where Bolivia I've seen a couple misplaced passes from Bolivia. Trinidad and Tobago, one of the things I think we do lack is that commanding midfield presence. That person who can, manage the game, dictate the place, has a high footballing IQ. We've seen a lot of, we try to use a lot of physicality and rely on our physical attributes down the wings. But, we saw Molino kind of become that guy in the qualifiers. Rampasad and why can't I remember the other name? That trio in midfield did an okay job, I think. I think it was a good platform to start building. But we do need players, of that high footballing IQ. Not just physical attributes to be able to manage a game and have the intelligence to slow and speed things down. And just sometimes control possession sometimes. Our fitness is not great at all. Unable to get the ball and maintain possession. Yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue. Like I said, it's not La Paz, but it's definitely going to be an issue with once you're playing a team from Bolivia and at international level. I'd love to see another Caribbean team like Jamaica in the World Cup again since '98. They haven't gone to the World Cup. So, right now everybody's hopes is riding on Jamaica camp. Trinidad was kind of positive. I see Bolivia is making a substitution here. So it's good to have some Bolivian insight inside the chat, folks. So Bolivia trying some rotations. The young keeper. The young number 10 coming on as well. Maraude? Am I pronouncing it correctly? So everybody in here, if you're just joining us, be sure to like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this Trinidad and Tobago performance so far. The game has, sort of plateaued at 3-0 for now. I think if you ask a lot of Trinbagonians if the final score was 3-0 at the beginning, I think they would take that. Do you think this is enough to prepare us for the Venezuela game? Considering that a lot of these players may not play against Venezuela. Who knows? Some players are what you call coach players. When the coach leave, they leave. If they're not happy with the program. A lot of players buy into the national teams because of their programs. Maraude plays for Always Ready. I love some of the South American clubs name, like the strongest. And, I know everybody talks about the Boca Juniors and the Brazilian teams, but there's a lot of good teams with some interesting names. Sansan Curacao make the World Cup. Yes. And unfortunately, Hiddink. And I believe because his wife is not well, I think he stepped down. And he actually stepped down during the qualifiers. We didn't know at the time his wife was sick, and I think he officially just stepped down from the national team. So he made history like, Leo Ben Haka did for us. And then he had to step down. So Telfa is off. Trinidad is making another substitution. And I guess, Derek King is making his substitutions now. I'm definitely going to have to take some turmeric shots after this game, folks. Definitely not feeling myself. So if my energy level is dipping, it's because whatever germs that lady gave me. I'm not feeling sick, but, I am feeling the early signs. Camp always ready, the strongest, blooming destroyers. Yes, I love the names. I love the passion, everything. Rising up is corner on the field. So everybody in the stream, let me know what's going on. Sansan Curacao is a very good team. I remembered when I was doing my match preview for Trinidad Tobago, I did say in the group that Curacao are my favorites to make it. And, well, they did. Of course, as a patriot, I wanted Trinidad to make it, of course. So we've resumed play. And Bolivia has slowed down the game a little bit. Bolivia drawing a foul here. But I think Bolivia is managing the game to just kind of kill off any potential attacks Trinidad may have. Trinidad is trying to win some possession. Hey, Rods, welcome. Welcome to the stream. If you're just joining in, welcome back. I've been doing... I did take a little bit of a hiatus. I had to do some repairs on the studio. Normally you don't see this, but that's all my football jerseys. It's a big stack, a lot of South American teams in there. I actually have a Brazil with 5 signatures with Kaká and those guys. I'm an Argentina fan. Maybe one of these days I'll show you guys. But I'm back. I am suspecting that I am getting the early stages of a flu. So if my commentary is not as aggressive. Trinidad, almost. Would that have been a goal? So a very aggressive tackle. Trinidad trying to press the ball high up. But in the process, he may have injured himself in his enthusiasm to get the goal. The thing is, it's a good spirit about the game. So Bolivia were trying to play from deep. But good pressing. Very aggressive tackle. If that went into the goal, would that have been a goal? Or would that have been called off as a foul? That's a good question. Clearly, the youthful exuberance came in there. So, that's interesting. So, Bolivia, I guess, getting away with one there. And also, that could have been in another game. Some refs would have given a yellow or even a red for that. Andre, you need some bush tea for that goal. Yeah. So, the thing is, I generally eat very healthy and take care of myself. So, for those of you who've been following the stream, I went to Starbucks a couple days ago, but I'll get back to that. Bolivia attacking, Trinidad defending. Bolivia now trying to kind of step up the pace a little bit now. They slowed things down, a cross in. Not well controlled. Bolivia on top of the box, another long range shot. So they have been taking a lot of long shots. So maybe that's an instruction from the coach, maybe to practice some long range shots. I don't know. But they have been taking a lot of long range shots. But just to get back to that, I mentioned it before in the stream. I went in Starbucks and I was talking to this random person. And after maybe about 20 minutes into the chat, because we were in a line together, only to recover, she said, hey, my doctor said I should not be in public. I had the flu for like about a month and a half now. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? I think so. Nothing to do with football, but I think, this is why COVID and things like that spread, just if you're sick and a doctor is telling you to stay home. And she was very unapologetic about it. I think I'm doing okay, because that was like a couple days ago, but I'm trying really hard. I do eat healthy to try to... I was very ready to slap that woman. But unfortunately, in today's society, you can't. But the sheer audacity of like, oh, by the way, like if it was a joke. Completely inconsiderate people. Even the people in Starbucks were like ridiculous. Who knows how much people she probably infected. completely ridiculous woman. Because I'm trying to be PG, I'm not going to say what I want to say. But it is possible that she did give me something, because I'm feeling the early signs. I had to take off my AC because I was starting to feel cold. But yes, Rods. Nah, man, as we say in Trinidad. Nah, man, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago. So Bolivia now, you can see they're trying to kind of game management here. 3-0, folks, approaching the 80th minute. Bolivia trying to, calm things down. I don't think there's a very clever through ball there. Dissecting the Trinidad and Tobago back 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it. Bolivia trying to do the FIFA goal, run into the byline and trying to cut it back in, but it was not a good final ball. Trinidad and Tobago resorting to a long ball, perhaps trying to resort to a counter-attack. And, while it's very easy to just speak negatively of Trinidad and Tobago here, I do think, with all things considered, with some of these guys not being, like the regulars, I think we're doing okay. Camp Gouveia is one of our young goalkeeping promise. His dad is Uruguayan and his mom is Bolivian and plays in Montevideo Wanderers in Uruguay. I'm seeing a lot of progression with the Bolivian team for like somebody like me who follows South American football. He had a great performance in the Under-20 World Cup. Son, these locals clueless. Kingsley, we don't want local players coming back to the squad for the CONCACAF Nations League. So we forced, I looked away for a moment there, a long throw-in. If Trinidad could, we are creating the odd chance. But I always believe one of my criticisms of Trinidad and Tobago football is our inability to really manage the middle. I saw some improvements under York with that. I saw some improvements even with Angus Eve under that, but it was in spurts. So in the 81st minute, Bolivia, like I said, I think Bolivia is trying to just kill off the game now. Trinidad is trying to maybe get a goal on the on the score sheet just to have a credible scoreline. Rods, Andre, have you spoken about the York issue yet? So I did have an initial reaction video. You can check out on the YouTube channel when you get a chance. It was a live stream. It was a lengthy discussion where I did a quick reaction, and also I asked AI, who they think to take the emotion out of things, who the next Trinidad and Tobago coach should be. But I did have an initial discussion, but I will be following up. You could check that out when this game is done on the YouTube channel. And also, I will be doing another one as well, a more in-depth one. There was actually a very long video that I'm working on. It's not live, where I did a real assessment with data and so on about the Trinidad and Tobago national team and our performance. I'm editing that as we speak. Bolivia almost sneaking in a fourth there, folks. Almost sneaking in a fourth. You can see that they've kind of taken their foot off the gas. But, just to go back to what I was saying, folks. Trinidad and Tobago losing possession in our half. Caught in possession. And that could have been fought against, that could have been a fourth goal for us. But, Bolivia doing really well. Aggressive pressing to win the ball back. But just to tell you guys this, I did create this video. It's a bit lengthy, where I did a full analysis on the Trinidad and Tobago, the overall campaign, using a lot of data and so on. And I will be putting that up soon. So let me know what you guys think about that. What now for Trinidad and Tobago? It's not live. I did do a lot of editing on that. In terms of editing, meaning it's not live. So, if you're just joining us, folks, we're in the 83rd minute. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. Follow us on the socials. We do giveaways. And, continue to support the channel. And we have our EXTV Mood Store online. It delivers globally. So for everybody who's in the US, Canada, and the States, you all actually will get it quicker than the Trinis. A couple people ordered, said they got it within a couple days. Maybe 5 days at most. Some people from Canada. So those of you who want to support the channel, we have EXTV merch as well. So, like I said, forgive me if my energy levels are a little bit low. I'm not feeling at 100%. As we say in Trinidad and Tobago, I have to drink some bush medicine. Rising up is Elijah Cordner on the field. I'm not getting much stats on the field usually that I usually do. Folks in the chat, is Elijah on? Bolivia. I've noticed our goalkeeper when it comes to those air balls, he's a bit indecisive sometimes. Now, he did do some good saves in the game, but he is a bit indecisive with some of those balls that are just outside the box. He's sometimes caught between two minds, between kicking the ball out or, you know, just trying to usher the ball in. So if we want some possession of the field, 1v1 here, a scuffed shot. A scuffed shot. I think with a little more composure, you know, maybe with one of the more experienced players, that could have been a good shot opportunity for us. But we have created chances, and I think with some composure and fitness, you know, we could have maybe got at least maybe 1 or 2 goals in this game. Chance creation. I'm not making excuses. This is not the worst performance I've seen in a while, but it's not very... I think it's not bad. I'm wondering if I'm sounding stuffy, folks. I usually ask my girlfriend this, but you all, do I sound stuffy? That's usually an indicator that something's going on. And this is my meal replacement. Ricky B, at the end of the first half, we kind of sat back and we had no chances, but we did create 2. 1 chance on goal and a 50-50 sort of chance at the end. And in the first half, I think we got 1. And I think that was probably the 3rd legit shot because the other shots were blocked. Rod's not that great in the patterns of play. I'm unable to see the match right now. How are we doing with the patterns of play? Not great. I mean, it is expected with, when you play in Bolivia at home. But Trinidad has had very brief moments, a little bit more in the second half where you can see they're trying to create. They are more direct. We do try to go down the wings and use pace from breakaways and a couple of cases, 2 or 3 passes, but very direct. Not much build up in the middle and so on. And that's credit to, you know, Bolivia's pressing. Rising up. If Trinidad Tobago has no money, maybe Coach Hart will help for a small fee. Well, we'll have to see because, you know, the issue with Stephen Hart was they weren't paying him properly. He won a case against the TTFA. You know, would Stephen Hart get the resources he needs? And, you know, it depends on his state of mind. You know, if he wants to come back. You know, very nice person, humble coach, very intelligent coach. I felt as if he should have never been sacked in the first place. I think if we kept Stephen Hart, I think we would have had a nice progression plan. You know, bringing him back now, we're going to have to be patient and let him do his work. You know, he's going to have to rebuild like he did the last time around. I mean, he's the kind of guy who really got, I think, the best out of Jovan Jones and those guys. Son, welcome to the King era. King was his assistant even back then. You know, King had success in the local league, so he's been around. So, folks, we're approaching the 90th minute. Ricky B, did the TTFA pay York what he was owed? I don't know. I think so. I mean, they're supposed to be doing things different from the last regimes, so that would not be a good look. Why should he come back to this mess from Sun 16? People down here think these locals good. Yeah, like I said, you know, we were talking about coaches. Coaches have to evaluate what they're coming into, and that's why the really good coaches would be like, okay, this project, if they do the analysis, their SWOT analysis, would be like, this doesn't make sense. Why would I come back here? Can this team progress? So, you know, then that limits, plus the financial reasons, the amount of coaches we can get. So we're approaching the 90th minute, folks. Bolivia 3, Trinidad Tobago 0. With all things considered, in terms of the scoreline, it wasn't a whitewashing we think it would be. I think Bolivia as well kind of took their foot off the gas. We did create some chances. And it will be interesting to see. I see a player on the sideline there that was warmed up. And he did not play. I just did something Yakim Low would do, which is I subconsciously touched my nose. It's just that when I'm done, folks, I'm going to definitely go drink some ginger tea and so on. I do not want to get sick. And if I ever find a girl that got me sick, I'll have a quarantine on an island somewhere. People should get arrested for that. Anyway, so Bolivia kind of winding the clock down here. You can see they're just passing the ball around. Very comfortable in possession now. Trinidad trying to force some turnovers. You could see some pressures being applied. And, maybe that would have been useful in the first half. But we don't know what the physical conditions are of the players in Bolivia. Like I said, it's not La Paz, but it's still pretty high. I don't know the exact altitude of the stadium and if it's an issue. But I think if we were in La Paz, we would have been in trouble. So, Kingley, we're not going to the No 2030 World Cup if we don't find foreign-based coaches. Yep. We have to get a foreign-based coach, a coach that wants to come here. A lot of people really crapped on Tom Saint-Fit. But he's been doing great in Africa, so it makes you wonder. Even the people that were criticizing him at the time, do we even know what we were talking about? He came for a couple games and then he was gone under the John Williams administration. Yet he's doing great in Africa. We were quick to dismiss him, make fun of him. I think he was treated horribly by our media in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, the results weren't great, but he goes on and does well in the AFCON Nations League. He's well respected there, and makes you wonder if we kept him around. Would you all like to see somebody like Thompson feedback? That's a good question. Because another thing I'll point out, and there's a lot of people in the media who have agendas against coaches and certain players. If they don't do interviews, they pick on certain coaches. So, maybe that's what took place. Who knows? But, it's interesting. It's an interesting discussion. Mui5, welcome to the chat. The game is winding down. We're in the 91st minute. They didn't say how much extra time. The problem with TNT football is we don't have proper domestic league. Bolivia almost getting a fourth goal there, but, blasting it in the side of the net. And you could see, Bolivia has taken their foot off the gas. Yes, our league has dropped down a little bit. I think in 2014 the quality went up a little bit, but it definitely has gone down. Once again, the leagues are not well funded. Players are not being paid. And the quality of football is being dropped. Football is a business. It needs to be run by people who know what they're doing. But unfortunately, we have people who are football people. I'm not saying that football people cannot run clubs, but it's a business. You need to get people who know what they're doing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption. There's club owners who didn't pay their players' salaries. Some well-known guys, and these are issues. It's so many issues. We could do an entire episode about that. Now, Rick B. Marad is a good little. Yes, Bolivia has very good players. Ricky B. Clinton Allen, DJW's era was a horrible. We have not recovered yet. Yes, it was not great. I think that transition when he took over from Timke was when we went back a lot. I know him. I met him. I know a lot of his friends on Web Connection. I think from a superficial standpoint, this is a guy who liked Trinidad and Tobago football. But let's be real, the sacking of Stephen Hart was probably one of the worst decisions we've ever made. So, it's full time. 3-0. Bolivia, Trinidad and Tobago, folks. Like I said, I don't think this was the worst result in the world. I think I saw some positives, and I will do a reaction after this because I'm not feeling 100%, so I will do a reaction later tonight. It's not the worst performance I've seen in a while, I think, with all things considered. I'm seeing a player very... Oh, okay. I thought he was crying, but he was doing his prayer. I think with the squad, considering the squad and the fact that there's an interim head coach, it was okay. Am I saying this is a great performance? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think that Trinidad and Tobago, with all things considered... let me just stop my clock here. With all things considered, I think it was not the worst performance. So, folks, like I said, my energy levels were not at the tip-top level. Clinton Allen, we started off too shaky. Yeah, I think the team... let me try to position myself a little bit better here. I think the team, understandably, were a little bit cautious at first. And I think, that's something Dwight York was trying to work on. He wanted us to be more proactive. And I think maybe under Dwight York, we would have been maybe a bit more aggressive. But we have a couple factors we have to consider, folks. This was not our official FIFA window game, so we would not have gotten our full squad. But I think with York, we would have seen us attack a little bit more. I think that's one of the things I really liked about Dwight York's approach to the game. Yes, we probably would have conceded, but we would have attacked a little bit more. I think even though it's not La Paz and the altitude is not the same as La Paz, I think the altitude in Bolivia is a bit different. A lot of these players, South American football, everybody talks about Argentina and Brazil and Colombia, but, the quality of football is very high there. Don't let the Eurocentric snobs tell you otherwise. The quality of football is very high in South America. So let me read some of the comments before I go. Ricky B, well, at least it was an improvement in the scoreline compared to the last time. Yes, we lost 5-0. What I was going to say. I think I did say Angus is a pragmatic coach, and I have no issue with defensive teams, folks. Like, a lot of people despise defensive football. I think it works if you do it correctly. So I don't have a problem with defensive football. The problem is, if you defend and still concede 5, that's the problem. I think in modern football, you have to be able to play different styles. And we also have to be a bit... Sometimes I think we get a bit spoiled when we look at club football and international football, and we want our teams to play at that level and what it takes to get to that level. Are we capable of that? Yes, we are. But we have done everything in our ability not to play that type of football. Clinton, we started off too shaky. Yes, I agree. Sun locals, good. I don't think, at least fitness-wise, we're at the standard we need to be, but that's a whole other discussion. I think the players are in a system that does not benefit them. And, sometimes these guys are thrown to the wolves. So I'm going back. DJW's era was very horrible. So yeah, folks, I'm going to chat for a couple minutes before, I log off. First off, I want to say a special thank you to everybody. We crossed the 3,000 mark. Just to let you all know this, when I first started doing these watch-alongs, at the request of you all, my subscriptions were like about 1,600. We have crossed 3,000. This is just in the last year. I would say even under a year. So in under a year, the subscriptions and the live streams have done really well. And I want to say a special thank you to every single one of you who are looking at the live stream right now. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you all supporting the channel. When you're done, you could rewatch the videos with your friends and families. Give me your thoughts, your comments, suggestions, and feedback. This is real time. We could all engage. We have people. Camp. Camp is, a Bolivian in the States. If Camp, if you want to support, you can head over to EXTV. We have the merch store, and you can continue to do this because I'm a huge fan of South American football. I will be resuming the EXTV weekly episodes, but it entirely depends on everybody in this live stream. If there are topics you want me to discuss, a reaction to the game, whatever you all want me to discuss, I will do it based on your reactions. You have control. I've worked on television before, and you don't have control there. We could speak about what we want. I will bring people in the studio. Shaka Hislop, Kenwin Jones, people of those ilk, even cricketers, for those who like cricket, esports as well. If you all want to challenge me, you can add me at Dracool10 on the PSN network. We do have, games. There's a game with Kevin Molino and myself. You could check that out. We have very different content, and it's all based on you all. Not the usual boring content. And we can have discussions. So if you all want that EXTV live, we will bring it back. Feel free to send comments. Follow us on Facebook and all those channels. We're always posting up discussion comments. You could put it up there as well. And continue to subscribe, donate to the channel. You can do that now. And, all these cool things with Super Chats. So we could do that. So like I said, folks, follow us on all the socials right here. Like this video. Subscribe, share it to your friends. And we'll be having a reaction soon. I'm going to try to take some ginger tea and try to recuperate and rebuild my resistance so I don't get any flus. And, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all here and supporting us. It is very fulfilling to continue having these discussions. We have the game. I will be doing the live stream against Venezuela and, the other games as well. I was supposed to be in Qatar right now, but I'm not. My thoughts go out to everybody that's in those regions and all over the world that, I have to be in the middle of these things. But, folks, like I said, drop comments in the comment section. If you didn't get to watch a live stream, rewatch. Put those comments below. Share. It really helps the channel. Every like, comment, and suggestion really helps. It helps the algorithm and continues to really boost the channel for everybody who needs to see it. So before I go, I'm going to ask everybody to stop what they're doing and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. And let me know your thoughts on the game. And even if you don't catch the live streams, I will be doing my regular videos I will be resuming from next week. It's going to pick up heading into the World Cup. I'll be doing live streams to other games as well. And everybody as well, we will be doing giveaways. So even if you're not from Trinidad Tobago and you're from all over the world, you can head over to our merch store and purchase merchandise which supports the channel as well. So folks, like I said, I really appreciate everybody being in here. And, you know, I appreciate the comments, your thoughts, everything. And like I said, before I go, let me know if y'all want to see the EXTV live weekly episodes return. You choose the topics. We will bring people. You get to have those discussions. So with that being said, I'll probably read a couple more comments before I go. Son will blame the United States or Israel. Why Qatar? That's a whole other discussion we could talk about as well. That's a whole other discussion. So folks, that being said, you know, a lot of people have been asking about my equipment. I'll put links in the description below for those of you who want to join in. I may, in fact, invite some of you all, for those of you in Trinidad, we could come to the studio and watch the games together as well. In other locations. There's a lot of fun things I have planned for everybody here, folks. So like I said, continue to support the channel. I'm not feeling in the best of shape today, but you know, it's a 3-0. For those of you just joining us, Trinidad Tobago, the final score was 3-0. Like I said, feel free to continue. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section in the video. And afterwards, head over to extvmedia.com and let me know your thoughts. What you think about the game? What do you think about Derek King? What do you think about the squad? Who do you think should be Trinidad Tobago's next coach? And also, I'll be uploading a video pretty soon about my overall analysis. This was made before Dwight York was fired, of course, and I'll put a caption so people will know that. It's a bit lengthy, but it's detailed, and I will broadcast it maybe next week. So you all could look into that as well. So like I said, folks, head over to the YouTube channel. Head over to all the socials. We're always doing content. And I will continue to have more and more content. So with that being said, folks, I'm going to sign out. And, you know, hopefully we'll have some improvements in the upcoming game. So, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope to see you all soon. Take care.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching Extra Time TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.